Look at the earth. Truly look at it. Before this land was called England, before it was a green, pleasant pasture, it was a tapestry of gray mud and cold, unforgiving iron. Here on this nameless ridge of Senlac, a world ended, not with a grand decree, but with the wet, heavy thud of timber meeting bone. We see the consequence before we ever understand the cause. A broken lindenwood shield, splintered by axes and half buried in the slurry. A fallen banner of a golden dragon, once proud, now tattered and soaked in dark liquid. Can you smell it? The scent of salt from the nearby sea, mixed with the iron tang of old blood and the acrid smoke of a dying era. This is the weight of history. This is the physical texture of a total collapse. Something fundamental shifted here in the autumn of 1066. It wasn't just a battle for a throne. It was the structural failure of an entire civilization. The Viking Age, defined by its longships, its tribal honor, and its pagan echoes, was bleeding out into the Sussex clay. In its place, a new, colder machine of war was waiting in the valley below. We witnessed the stillness of the fallen, the absolute silence of a kingdom that simply forgot how to breathe. Before the dates were etched into stone, and before the very language you are hearing now was forged in fire, there was only the cold morning fog and the inevitable approach of the iron. The Saxon sun has set. The pattern is complete. January. A bitter, bone-chilling wind screams through the stone halls of Westminster as Edward the Confessor's soul finally departs this world. He leaves behind a throne that is less a seat of majesty and more a death warrant. Harold Godwinson, the elected son of Wessex, seizes the crown with a hand already trembling from the weight of what is to come. But history is never settled by a single hand. To the north, the giants of Norway are stirring. Harald Hardrada, the last Viking, sharpens his axe for one final, glorious raid. He brings with him the ghosts of 3 centuries of Norse terror, a tide of fire and steel meant to reclaim an empire. And to the south, across the narrow gray sea, William of Normandy waits. He is a man of iron and cold bureaucracy, a man who views the world as a map to be redrawn. William does not just want a kingdom, he wants to own the very soul of the land. Our data shows the variables aligning. Harold is a king caught between 2 tides, a man trying to hold back the ocean with a wooden shield. He marches his army north, their boots caked in the moss-green earth of Britain, to meet the Viking storm at Stamford Bridge. He wins. He breaks the back of the Norsemen in a frenzy of steel. Hardrada dies with an English arrow in his throat. The Viking Age ends there, in the mud of Yorkshire. The records show a triumph, a miracle of military history. But victory is a deceptive mistress. Even as the Saxons celebrate among the ruins of the north, the wind, the very breath of destiny, shifts. William's ships finally catch the southern breeze. The southern coast is open. The invasion has begun. Look at their eyes. This is the exhaustion of a people. These men have walked the length of their world in a matter of weeks. They have fought a war in the north, and now they march to die in the south. The Roman roads beneath them are indifferent to their suffering. Every step is a testament to Saxon grit, but every mile is a drain on their structural integrity. Adrenaline is the only thing keeping the shield wall standing. They march 300 miles through rain, through mud, and through the shadows of an ancient landscape. They are ghosts already, moving toward a ridge they will never leave. Behind them, the golden harvest of England remains ungathered. Ahead, the cold steel of the continent awaits. The contrast is stark. Harold's army is a gathering of the weary, men of the earth forced into a marathon of iron. When they finally reach the heights of Senlac, they are not a fresh army. They are a wounded animal, backed into a corner, baring its teeth for one final stand. Our observers note the structural failure of the Saxon state. It is not being outfought, it is being outmarched. The tragedy is that they arrived at all. They reached the hill just in time to watch their world end. October 14th. The ridge of Senlac is a wall of lindenwood and human defiance. The Saxons stand shoulder to shoulder, 10 ranks deep. This is the shield wall. It is more than a tactic. It is an ancient symbol of the old world's strength, a literal barrier against the future. Below them, in the damp valley, the Normans look up. They see a forest of spears, a glint of heavy Dane axes, and the unwavering eyes of men who have nothing left to lose but their lives. Close your eyes and feel it. Feel the weight of the heavy chainmail hauberk pressing down on your shoulders. The air is thick, suffocating with the scent of wet wool, wood smoke, and the cold, metallic tang of fear. This is the pivot point of the millennium. If the wall holds, the Norman Conquest is a footnote. If it breaks, everything changes. Your laws, your land, your very identity will be overwritten. William sends his archers first. Thousands of arrows notch into strings and soar into the gray sky, a rain of steel that momentarily blocks the sun. But the wall is too thick, the shields too strong. The arrows find only timber. Then, the Norman cavalry charges. The ground beneath the hill begins to shake. A rhythmic thunder of hooves, the sound of 100 destriers slamming into a solid wall of wooden shields is a thunder that history cannot forget. The Saxons do not move. They are the stone against which the Norman wave breaks. Again and again, the horses recoil, their chests bloodied by Saxon spears. But exhaustion is a silent killer. These men have fought too many battles in too short a time. As the sun begins its slow descent, the integrity of the wall is bending. It is straining. The transition from the Viking Age to the Age of Chivalry is about to be paid for in blood and splintered linden. Desperation is a powerful catalyst for change. After hours of failure, William removes his helmet. "Look at me," he bellows. "I live." Then comes the feigned retreat. The Normans flee, and the Saxons, exhausted, hungry for an end, make the fatal mistake. They break their ranks. They chase the ghosts of the enemy down the slope, and the wall, the sacred, unbreakable wall, is gone forever. William turns. His cavalry pivots with terrifying precision. They close the trap. The battle dissolves into a mosaic of isolated slaughters. No more formations, no more safety. Only the brutal, raw physics of iron against flesh. The Saxons are caught in the open, trampled into the mud they fought so hard to defend. And then, the moment that redefines an entire island's destiny. One singular arrow, loosed into the fading winter light, carries the weight of a millennium. It arcs. It falls. It finds its mark. King Harold, the last English king of his kind, falls. The golden dragon topples into the slurry of mud and dark liquid. With him, the old world dies. The housecarls stay. They do not flee. They die in a circle around the broken body of their king, because that is the only law they have left. As the sun Khoikhom dips below the horizon, the Saxon sun sets forever. The cavalry of the new era rides over the bodies of the infantry. A world of stone castles, of French nobility, and of a new, harsh, feudal order is born in the shadow of this massacre. The stakes were everything. The price was the identity of a nation. The transition is complete. The data is gathered. The Anglo-Saxon experiment has reached its terminal point. From the blood-soaked mud of Hastings, a new empire will rise, one that will build the Tower of London to suppress the very people who fought here today. It is an empire that will conquer the world in a language forged from this very collision. The observers leave the field. They leave the fallen where they lie, buried in the soil of a kingdom that no longer belongs to them. History is not a story of progress. It is a ledger of what we were willing to lose. The language you use to mourn them is the language of the conqueror. The ridge is silent now. The raven remains. The golden dragon is tattered. The sunset is over. England is no longer Saxon. It is something else, something iron, something new. The experiment is complete. The data of 1066 is etched in stone.